Well, this is the fourth in a series of videos where we look at the different types of symbols that are available in the gCADPlus environment. And I'd like to look here under Library, Plants, and let's look at this named group of symbols. You may be able to see now as I scroll down through the list that there are lots of symbols here, but each symbol has a name. Rather than be called U-plant symbol number 3 or whatever, they have a botanical name. And so they're written in correct form with a capital letter C for Callimacrostus and then lowercase for the species name Acutiflora. So it's quite a large list. The reason that we've included them is that because each has a name, it becomes very easy to assign these symbols to an entry in a plant database. So what I'm going to do now that I've done this little drawing, I'm going to go to gCADPlus and attach a plant database file. We have quite a lot of them available to you, and most people will do their own, but I'm going to load one called GCAD. So it's just a text file database. The red underline here is suggesting to me that gCADPlus feels you might have a spelling error, and you can right click and add word when you have your own, and that echinacea has now been added to the list. So there's nothing worse than misspelling a botanical name in a landscape design, because some of your clients are very good botanists and know the names, and they are offended by a spelling error. So you can develop your own plant database file such as this one and check all the botanical names carefully, and it becomes a very useful tool for you. So it's now associated with this drawing and sits down in the information on it, sits down in the status line. So what I'm going to do now is move towards creating a plant schedule for this design. And so I'm going to go to gCADPlus, plant schedules and list. I'm going to set data to a plant and use right click to finish. So let's tag our first symbol. If we come over here, let's take this one, Acacia Etiophylla. We go gCADPlus and set data to a plant. And we just scroll down through here and click on that record and say OK, and right click to finish. So now Acacia Etiophylla, the common name and a code, has now been associated with that symbol. Let's come across here. This is a bambusa. So let's do the same thing. You select it first and then gCADPlus and set data to the plant. We can say bambusa for a quick find, and we don't have bambusa in there, so we need to get into the database and edit it. So to do that, gCADPlus, edit the plant list, scroll down, and we'll add bambusa gracilis. Now for the common name, I'm not familiar with it, but looking on, the suggestion is slender weaver bamboo, and I would rate that as a large shrub, and give it a code BAGR, taking the first two characters of the generic name and then the first two characters of the species name, and enter that, and we can save it. We'll close, and now we should be able to associate that one. So It's called a block called Bambuser, which is part of this system. So gCADPlus. Now we're going to set data to a plant. Let's see if our search now finds it. So we can set it. Right click to finish, select the symbol now, and there's all the information that we just typed in. So we work our way through. Let's do the next one. Remember, we will revise, so select the symbol first, then right click and pick repeat add plant data. So this is a splenium. Just type the first few characters and we can find it and OK it. So can you see we're starting to build up this list. There's the acacia, the asplenium, here's the bamboo, the juga, and so I can work my way through very easily through these, and I'm assigning information from that plant database file to the symbol itself. And once that's done, and I'll show that in a moment, we can generate the plant list, which will count the number of instances of the symbol and total everything up for me. Well, there is another tool that you're likely to find useful while you're doing this, and that's show symbols with names. And you can see here I'm working my way through and I still have 4 or 5 more to deal with. All symbols have now been tagged, so let's draw the plant schedule. That's found gCADPlus. Plant schedule down here. We'll just do the standard schedule. We're first asked to input text type. Let's type 200, and the plant schedule will be drawn with the currently set text style. Whereas I'll scroll out a little, a corner point. The first time through this is pretty much experimental, and you can see that the text height there is far too high. So just repeat it again. Text height, I think 50 would be reasonable. We'll put a corner point about there. We'll go a little bit wider. And we now have what we're after. We could have narrowed that a bit more to get it look quite neat, but I'm sure you get the idea. Notice the total on the right. So that if we come back in here, and let's take this, this is a Banksia blacknifolia, a ground cover Banksia. Let's copy it 3 or 4 times. It's a ground cover, and let's just, for interest, rotate a couple of instances of it. We might even resize this one because it spreads over quite a distance. So we've made some edits. Let's now update our plant schedule, and we should now have whatever that is, 4 or 5. So we update the schedule. Come in here, Banksia blacknifolia is now 5. So there's a to and fro with this. Now we've often been asked, well, that's very well, but how could you short circuit this process of tagging? Well, one thing you could do is simply save this group. So I'll demonstrate that now by grabbing all the symbols that we've used here, and I'll copy them to the clipboard. We'll make a brand new file. I'll just say without a template, and I'll just paste all of those symbols into a brand new drawing editor and zoom extents. There they all are. And let's save that as, we'll put it on a desktop and we'll call it test block. And we'll save it. Now if we were to do a brand new drawing, let's this time take the default. We could say I'm starting to lay out the base plan design, but I want to use these symbols. So we can say blocks, add from another file. Here's our test group, test block. Open it. It's in use in another program, isn't it? Of course. So let's go here to test block, close it. Now we should be able to use it again in a new drawing. So blocks, add from another file, test block, and we'll add it, insert it into the drawing. So note that the entire group comes in as one entity. What I will do is explode that group, and I'll also turn off display of the construction layer. So we now have in this new developing design all of the symbols that we've taken, and each has been tagged. So I would suggest what a good way to work would be to construct your own little group of 10, 20, 40, 50 individual symbols that you like using, tag them in this way, save them as a block, and just bring it into any new design that you begin working on. So I hope that covers the particular group that you'll find in library, plants, and named.